Right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2021 AGM, Somerset Chamber AGM, I should say. We've got a running order here, so we've got an introduction of our sponsor, who tonight is Begbie's Trainer. So thank you very much, Begbie's Trainer. We've got a financial report from Nick. We've got an annual report from Graham, chair of our board. We've got an election of directors, so our vice chair of the board, Emma Warren, will run that for us. We've then got an introduction of Emma Rawlings, our new executive director, Somerset Chamber of Commerce. And then we've got some 10-year member awards as well. So I would like to initially welcome to the stage Neil Vinicum from Begbie's Trainer. Neil, over to you.
Well, thank you, Alistair, and your team for allowing us to sponsor tonight and support the people in the room and the members. And thank you for coming out, everyone, on this chilly winter night. For those that don't know me, that's a very old picture. I'm Neil Vinicum. I'm from Begbie's Trainer, that some of you in the room know about, some of you don't. And I've been trying to help financially distressed businesses and individuals for over 35 years. So yes, I started when I was 3. A very early career, but I fell into the career straight from school and quite enjoyed it. It was quite varied, and I figured out I was helping people, which I quite like doing. So that's a little bit about me. I'm joined with my colleague here tonight, Mike Dyer. Mike, over there. You've been with the firm now for
just shy of 3 years.
3 years, blimey, how time flies in our COVID environment. Well joined. For those of you that don't know about Begbie's Trainer, as the banner says, we are the largest independent insolvency, restructuring and recovery specialist. What we try to be is the accountant's friend. So there are a couple of accountants in the room, and all the service lines they don't have, we try and offer them. So if they have a client that has trouble or problems or needs a solution, Begbie's was set up 1989. I joined the firm in 18 years ago, and we were 12 offices, and we've grown a bit. But now we've diversified, and our core business is sort of corporate recovery, restructuring, liquidation, insolvency work generally. But we have diversified. We now have a valuation arm, we have insurance, all those other things, wonderful things on the board. So we're quite a broad financial offering. We're not just specialising in that insolvency work. And our clients range from individuals, you and me. If you need some financial advice, we can help you with that and try and avoid bankruptcy. There are things we can do. And a company, we try and, my mantra is, we always try and save a company rather than put it through a process. However, as Mike will testify, when the director comes to you and says the payroll's due tomorrow, we haven't got a rabbit in the top hat, it's very difficult to magic up enough money to pay the payroll. So my mantra there would be, if you know anybody that needs some assistance, please come and see us early. Okay, so moving on. As I've said, the firm has grown a lot. It was 12 offices when I joined, we're now 108. We've got an office here in Taunton. I run that with Mike, and I run Bath office. I dabble in Bristol. I suppose Exeter would probably be our next nearest office, but we're a national firm with quite a lot of staff. So that's where we are. So in the room, how can I help you or your clients or people you know? We can restructure. We can do solvent liquidations, which are a great way for shareholders, entrepreneurs to take their money out of their company. And I'll come on to that in a minute. There's a quirky thing called a Section 110 reconstruction, which I won't bore you with. I've done one in 35 years, so that it is quite quirky. Refinance, Mike gets involved in our refinance, so he knows lots and lots of financiers. So if you need somebody who wants to look at alternatives, look at refinance, have a chat with Mike, please. We have lots of investors in the firm. We have 5,000 investors on our database. They will invest in businesses that are distressed or live. So if you know someone that wants some finance, are there any banks in the room? And the banker said no, come and ask us. We may know someone. We do viability reports for banks and financial institutions. We basically look and say, yes, this is lendable. You might take a risk, but it's okay. Give them some money, see how it goes. And I get quite involved in pre-packaged sales, via administration. I sold a trampoline park, one in Bristol, one in Swindon. I saved 100 jobs. So that makes me feel really good. Everybody calls me the Grim Reaper, but actually we're out to save businesses and save jobs and save companies. So that's what we can do. So anyway, moving on. Solvent liquidation I touched on earlier for the accountants in the room. 10% tax rate if you can get business asset disposal relief, entrepreneur relief in old money. Gavin will say that's probably quite good apart from the Jimmy Carr tax rate. Yeah, that's pretty good for entrepreneurs to take money out of their companies. And formal insolvency processes. I'm often selling things. I've currently got a brewery that's approached me. Anybody in the room who knows somebody in the brewery industry or sector or wants to acquire, let me know. We send around flyers on any type of business we get across our desks that we can publicly tell people about. So there are lots of opportunities in our world. So, you know, have a word with us. Sign up to our database. We'll send you these opportunities, and you and your clients can acquire things. Property, we do a law property at receivership work. So that's in the main what we're about. That's me and Mike. The only other thing I want to wrap up on is fees. Everybody thinks, you know, insolvency and restructuring is expensive. Well, it can be. Fees, options, getting all the information, gathering data, giving people the options, letting them go away and think about what they want to do. Normally that's free. So, you know, bread on the water, call it what you like. It's an investment. We're happy to give time and effort to people who are in financial trouble to try and help them get out of it. And you know, that's what we'll do in the main in most cases. Some cases there are fixed fees. In other cases we have to ask the creditors to approve our fees. So for those older people in the room, it's not an open checkbook. We can't just rip the guts out of a job. We will always talk to people sensibly. We do fixed fees, we do flexible fees. Mike, is there anything I've forgotten to add you might like to add? And it's fine if there isn't.
No, fantastic.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you. That's 50 quid for you. So, yeah, enough of me rambling on. I'm sure that's more than 5 minutes. I'm not sure. If you want to grab Mike or I after, please feel free to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's worth mentioning that Neil and Begbie's Trainer have been great supporters of the Chamber over the years, so thank you very much. Right, I'm going to hand you over to Nick.
Thank you, Alistair. It's been a while since I've done this. So, good evening all. My name is Nick Farrant, and I am the non-exec FD of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm in my 5th year of doing that. And what a nice, quiet, simple 5 years that's been for the Chamber. Not my fault, but yeah. It's not often I get to speak first at these events, actually, before the chairman. So no doubt I've got your full attention and attention to detail as we review at a high level the financial performance for the year to the 31st of March. And actually, I would say this, it's quite an interesting year, but not so interesting that I'll be talking to you for ages, don't worry. Yeah, what a year it was. So let's have a look at some numbers. If I sort of come out of the way, then you can see. Has everyone got a decent sight of that? How's your eyesight at the back? Yeah, a bit challenging. Okay, I'll quote some numbers at you. As in previous presentations, let's start by doing some high-level trend analysis over the last 6 years here. So those figures are taken from the statutory accounts. First bit of good news is that we're up on revenue against 2016. Okay. We're actually, more seriously, we're actually up at gross profit level on 2019 for the year to 31st of March 21, and we're even up in terms of net profit, and that's what's available for future investment. So recording a £76,000 profit, which right down the bottom, some of you might not be able to see, which is the most in that 6 years. So what a year the 31st of March 2021 was in terms of what went on in the world. But yeah, a £76,000 net profit. Okay. This really is a case, though, of damn lies and statistics, of course, because, as you know, the financial year that we're looking at was not what we'd expected it to be. I think that's probably fair to say. Albeit when I presented the 2020 figures, I think that we said we looked forward to 2021 being a year of recovery and rebuilding, and that's pretty much what we've delivered, as you will see, or the Chamber team have delivered. I'm just a non-exec, I don't do any of the hard work. Let's have a look at some graphs, okay? Graphs, much better. Let's have a look at analysis of revenues. We start to see the story here unfold a bit more. So we knew that the LEP funding, which is part of the big charts down at the far side from me there. So sorry, for those that can't see, blue is 2020, orange is 2021. So we knew that LEP funding, which is the best part of £200,000, just to give you an idea, that was going to drop away from the outset. So that's not a COVID impact. We knew that was going to happen. We'll have a look at what happens to costs as a result. Moving across to the right, some much smaller numbers. Other project income, you can see like a slight little rise in 2021. Well, how have we bucked that trend? That's all to do with, that was starting to see the impact of the Kickstarter scheme, the Department for Work and Pensions, and the good work we've been doing there around some of the support we've been doing on that. So membership, so you lot, membership and patronage, that's remained about steady. I mean, if you'd have sat in the kind of the finance, the budgeting meetings that we were having in, say, April and May 2020, you can imagine that we were having a gloomier picture. So just thank you for your support. Your continued support is hugely appreciated, and without that, there would be no Chamber of Commerce. So, and on the far right-hand side, events. The impact on events is obvious, so that's gone down. However, it's worth saying that there's still, through kind of innovation, hard work of the team, still a fairly chunky amount of income there, call it £75,000. And actually that probably puts us up towards the upper echelons of what Chambers of Commerce in Britain will be able to put on across that year. So more good effort. But you can see, you know, there are some differences between the blue and the orange columns to kind of give it some really techie analysis. They're different. Okay? All right?
Yeah, thanks, Nick.
Down. All right? Okay. So analysis of costs. So on the far side, we've got people and travel. So effectively, the people and the people moving about. Do you remember that bit in the previous slide about the LEP income? We knew that was falling away. So that fall in LEP income on the previous slide meant that we were actually actively managing our cost base in terms of the size of the team and some of those costs. So don't just assume that that's all, you know, as a result of COVID. There is some COVID impact. There were some difficult decisions made, unfortunately, but not all of that is sort of unplanned change, as it were. Premises and equipment, mainly sort of rent rates, that kind of thing, that stayed largely the same. And then events and projects, as you'd expect, that's fallen quite significantly. Basically, it reduced as we went online through that innovation. Otherwise, no major other movements. I mean, there's bits and bobs going on through other admin costs, but those are the kind of major trends. That is the story of the year. Okay. So my last slide, you'll be delighted here, is about balance sheet. So balance sheet, that's that snapshot in time. We draw a line as at the 31st of March, and we tot up what have we got as at that moment. Okay. That bit of analysis is only in date for like a minute, and then as soon as you get there, it's out of date. But it gives you an idea of where was the chamber as at the 31st of March. Okay. So, as I said, as we went into the year, March 21, COVID had just struck, and our objective was clear. It was preserve cash, keep the chamber operating, and find new ways to support our members. And what you can see here is effectively the results of that. I know that many of your eyes immediately drawn to the cash at bank figure there. Why do we need, or did we need, £322,000? So that's other questions from other AGMs. I've stood up here and people say, well, why do you need that much? Okay, so there are a few reasons how we get to that and how we got to that. So how we get to that is the preserving cash, some of the cost savings we've just looked at. But you can see here, as at the 31st of March, we had higher creditors there than we'd had at the previous time. So there's a bit of timing difference there about when that line struck versus when the creditor payment happened. But also, it's in part driven by the way that the Kickstarter scheme cash flows work. Okay, so you're just going to see in future more cash through flows and more creditors at any given time because of the way the funds I'll put my teeth back in. Anyway, the way the money moves. All right. Okay. We've had some management structure changes, which you'll hear more about later, which of course will require investment after this date that we're looking at. And we wanted to invest as well in new ways to support our members, both in the short term and in the search for new areas of other services, so developing other services that we can provide to the membership in the long term. So there's a bit of a war chest being built up there for future projects and investment back into the membership effectively. Plus, we've learned our lessons. Hopefully a lot of businesses have learned our lessons about building up that risk-based reserve. So there is, as part of the British Chamber of Commerce metrics that they look at, a level of reserves that any accredited chamber has to have. And so we work within that, we work towards that, but just what have we learned over the last 18 months? It's good to have something in the kitty. So I'm not going to say everything went exactly to plan, but if you'd have asked me on the 31st of March 2020, with all that was going on, would we like that balance sheet? I'd have probably bitten your hand, your arm, probably some of your shoulder off. Okay? So basically, well done team. Any questions at this point? No? That's the best news I've had. All right? Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Nick for that summary of the financial results. If I think back my role as chair to the beginning of 2020, as Nick said, it was clear that the chamber was going to be entering into a period of change. The loss of the LEP funding, which was part of the nuclear sector deal, was expected, and it was the first solid indication that the Hinckley supply chain project, the taper in the Hinckley supply chain project, was beginning, and so it was clear at that point that the chamber had to start positioning itself for a change of tack. Make sure that it was in the right sort of state to approach change in the medium term. And then COVID hit, obviously. So objectively, if you look at the numbers that Nick presented there, the Chamber's come through this stage of the pandemic, I'll call it this stage of the pandemic, this stage of the pandemic in a very strong business position. The Chamber's team's activity managed to adapt very quickly, turned on a sixpence really, and the direct line that the Chamber had both up and down to the British Chambers of Commerce was absolutely essential to be able to give the sort of business support that Somerset businesses were requiring. And that was the most uncertain time that, in our collective experience, I think anybody in business has gone through. And so that was a good thing, obviously. And membership numbers, as you've seen from the graphs before, they remained remarkably resilient all the way through. Events were massively supported. We'll talk about that a bit later on. And I think that the value that the Chamber was able to give and offer to its members and to the business community came out much stronger as a result of the learnings and everything else that we've taken from the past 18 months. What struck me is that, or what strikes me and continues to strike me, is that Chamber of Commerce is very much a stakeholder business. Without an aligned sort of purpose and commitment of the operational team, the board of directors, the members, the partners, the associates, the affiliates, and the wider chamber network, it can't and it won't hold a strong position within the local economy and within the local business community. And I feel that certainly what's happened over the last 18 months is that there has been that unity of purpose, and it's a testament to that unity of purpose, the commitment, the engagement and the talents of all those stakeholders pointing in the same direction that's left the Chamber in such a good position now. To be able to sort of press the reset button a little bit, go back to where we were in January, February 2020 as we were deliberating over the budgets, looking at a 170 grand shortfall in funding, and plough on into a new era, as it were, in a different and still quite uncertain business landscape. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Before we go on to it, it falls to me to sort of give you an update on what they've been up to, what the Chamber's been up to on your behalf up to this point, November 2021.
When I was elected to the board 3 years ago, I remember the big theme of that particular AGM was becoming the voice of business. It was very much an aspiration of the Chamber to become the recognised voice of business within Somerset. And it's very much the case that in this last 12 to 18 months, we've been firmly established as the people that all the media partners within the local area will come to for business comment. And that's a great testament to the team and the activity that's been going on within the Chamber over those past 3 years. We're always looking to take counsel from yourselves, from members who have surveyed members, as you see, on yes, the impacts of COVID and all the way through, both informally and formally, also around the return to work and flexible working, and carbon neutrality in one of the last of the QES but one, last QES but one. We're working with our partners in the Business Chambers of Commerce South West, which cover the affiliated chambers from Cornwall to South Wales. Particularly around, supported what they called this, you have to remind me, was it the C7, was that it? Which was a Chamber of Commerce online conference, which mirrored the G7 in June this year, all around the blue-green economy and around the digital economy. But also continuing to work with them from a lobbying and from a publicity point of view around inward investment and on the LSIPs, which are the learning. Oh, goodness me, I knew this, it was all in my head. Local skills improvement planning, thank you very much. Phew. Which two of our members, Western College and Yeovil College, are involved in delivering with Business West as part of their Trailblazer status, which is really interesting. That's going to position chambers, hopefully, well into the future, if that hopefully then becomes policy. We've given vocal support for the Great Western Freeport, which was unfortunately an unsuccessful bid, and the Bristol Airport expansion because of the positive impact it'll have on the Somerset economy, and have been active in press and TV around all sorts of topics such as Kickstart, the challenges with supply chain, challenges with recruitment, the whole net zero agenda, and obviously also the Hinckley, our continued support for the Hinckley Point C project. So it's been a busy year in terms of getting the message out and amplifying the messages from our members and the issues that affect Somerset business. We'll look at events. Now, if you imagine that the Somerset Chamber of Commerce had not ever, I'm looking at Alistair for verification, had not ever held an online event up until April 1st last year. In that 18-20 month period, 220 online events were held with over 4,000 people taking part, which is an amazing amount of engagement on part of our membership and business community across Somerset, but also an amazing effort from the team at the Somerset Chamber to be able to do that from a standing start. And it was very much that vehicle which demonstrated the value that members were able to get from the Chamber and from having a great source of independent and authoritative advice. Physical events restarted, like this one, for example, restarted only in September. I've got no idea what's happened in the last 20 months. I mean, people give me these dates and I go, yeah, I'm sure it was. I've got no idea, absolutely no idea whether it was September or March. I don't even know when it is now, but anyway. We've had 17 physical events over that time, and that's attracted over 450 attendees. And in the middle of all that, with 6 months delay over the original plan because of COVID restrictions and lockdowns, we were able to hold the Somerset Business Awards 2021, an online event hosted by Claire Carter back in March, where we were able to celebrate the great achievements of Somerset businesses. So being able to do that online with the great support of our sponsors was a great boost, I think, to everybody involved, members and team and board of the Chamber. So that's been the events overview. As we're going to talk about Kickstart. A Kickstart was, okay, I would probably be lying if when the first conversations came around being a representative body for Kickstart and being a conduit then to deliver the DWP's programme to Somerset businesses, if there wasn't a small soupçon of suspicion that perhaps this wouldn't be a great thing to be getting into. My goodness me, it's a DWP, it's a public funded programme, what could possibly go right? But it's been tremendous success, and I think, I mean, a huge testament to Jen and Hayley who've administered it, but everybody in the Chamber team has got behind it. We've managed to embrace its bureaucratic eccentricities, but has actually been able to get over 110, because these are numbers from the beginning of last week and things have changed since. 110 Somerset businesses have accessed the support, generated 256 Kickstart placements. And that compares so well with what you would have thought would be more typical areas in Chambers of Commerce, county Chambers of Commerce across the country. It's been a fantastic effort. And I asked Jen to tot up the numbers, and it came to £1,235,959.25, which I forgot to put in the slide, of financial support that has been directed from government into the Somerset economy and into Somerset jobs for young people through the conduit of the Chamber. And I think what it does a number of different things. One, it's about showing what a Chamber of Commerce can do with the skills and talents it's got within it, with the contacts, with the ability to connect, with the ability to engage. But also it demonstrates, I think, to us within the Chamber that sort of programme and performing that sort of role is not outside our core capability. And I think that serves as well as we look forward to the next 3 to 5 years, where we can with confidence say, yes, we can deliver these things. Talking about delivery, I think the supply chain continues to go from strength to strength. The project celebrated, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Forgive me. Dear Lord. Celebrated 5 years since the final investment decision in September this year. And I think they've got over 22,000 people working on the project, 6,500 people on site as of September. And as per the socio-economic report that was produced by EDF in the spring this year, over £3.2 billion against an initial target of 1.7, Natalie, is that right? Is that right? 1.5, yeah, sorry. 1.5 was the initial target about localised spend or regional spend. It's over 3.2 million, and we've still got some time to go of the project. So it's been, a great success in terms of engaging regional businesses, taking advantage of the opportunities that were there within the Hinckley project. The focus for the team this year has very much been on promoting that local supply chain to a new raft of contractors coming on site as the build moves from groundworks into MEH. Well, I don't know what it is, MEH, I've just got some meh, I don't know. Some meh. Go on, Natalie, fill me in.
Mechanical, electrical and HVAC.
Thank you very much. That's exactly what I meant to say. But the focus of the team's very much been on doing that, promoting those opportunities, and we've managed through that to support 172 local businesses to access those opportunities, some going on to PQQ and also onto contract award. So it's been a fantastic success, continues to be a fantastic success, and as I said, we can start to see the end in sight. It's not, we don't anticipate it to be something that's going to fall off a cliff. It's going to be something that is going to taper off, but already, because of the value that the Hinckley supply chain team and the Chamber has shown, being able to access other opportunities to support the project ongoing. So it's been a great success. What we see there is a picture of a big thing being. What this is, I will refer to my notes. Okay, the picture here is of Big Carl. Big Carl is the biggest crane in the known universe, Western Europe, I think. Sorry, which is the yellow thing there. Except technically very sound on it. But that was placing the high steel ring section, which is 47 metres in diameter and 17 metres high, onto the second reactor building last Tuesday evening, I think, or last Tuesday evening, which is fantastic. If you think about the size of that, it's just slightly mind-blowing. That's 11 months after doing the same thing onto reactor 1, so that's onto reactor 2. And one of the things that's happening up on site, that the project's doing, is it's learning as it's going. So by doing sort of 2 reactors side by side, so I understand, what they're able to do then is take the learnings from the first and adapt them and make it better for the second. So that ring was built 25% more quickly than the first one. And despite the fact that all the resources were taken away from reactor building 2 build during COVID, it still came in a month ahead of schedule in terms of being fitted. So it's still fascinating what's going on up there. It's still going to be going, and it's moving into its next phase now. And the opportunity is still there, and they're there for new businesses to access work and to access opportunities moving forward. So what's next for Somerset Chamber? Well, to a degree, obviously the day job continues. The supply chain issues around materials, around services, around labour, around skills, they remain acute. I think most people in the room will recognise that and see it all around with their own businesses and with their clients. The Chamber will continue to hear, to listen to, and amplify the concerns and challenges of Somerset businesses around these issues as we go ahead. But we've also got to keep this eye on the future and really, make sure that Somerset is well positioned to get its fair share, or more than its fair share, of what's to come, the opportunities that are going to come economically and commercially. The Chamber already recognises that there's hot topics out there, hot topics which, like skills improvement, like the road to net zero, which are not going to go away tomorrow. They're not today's problem, tomorrow's fish and chip wrappers. They're here for a while and are going to need long-term, mid and long-term solutions. And the Chamber should be able to position itself very much front and centre there as an organisation that's going to be able to help businesses navigate their way through this. So we'll do that by engaging with our affiliated chamber partners across the Southwest, the British Chamber of Commerce Southwest, and with the emerging unified authority across our representative area, which is Somerset. These are great opportunities to make sure that we are not fighting this alone, but to fight this in partnership and alongside other people with a shared interest. We'll also do that by building the strengths of the Chamber, particularly the strength of connecting businesses, of facilitating access, of disseminating objective and best practice advice and information across the county, of understanding our members and of influencing opinion. And also of celebrating success, which is why we're very much looking forward to March the 11th, 2022, when we'll all be back at the Winter Gardens in Weston-super-Mare, celebrating the best in Somerset businesses at the Somerset Business Awards 2022. And I'm contractually obliged to say that the applications, nominations, what do they call them? Entries. Thank you very much. Entries. Thank you very much. The entries, the deadline for entries is next Friday, the 3rd of December. I'm delighted also this evening to be able to introduce you to a new executive director. So I'll get round to you eventually, Emma. So that's Emma Rawlings, who will be joining the Chamber on December the 1st, that's next week, to lead the Chamber through the challenges and the opportunities ahead. Give Emma a chance to speak to everybody later on. And finally, I think to wrap up in probably... that surprises me. I thought it would be about 8:10 by now. Just Nick was much quicker. That's what, did you see how quickly we went through? I'd like to offer a few massive thank yous. Firstly to yourselves, to our members, to our partners and affiliates for your continued support and engagement. To our board of directors, some of whom are here this evening, some of whom can't make it this evening. Past and present, have risen to the challenges of the last 18 months. Firstly, under the chairmanship of Helen Lacey last year, and in support of me as my time as chair over the past 12 months. Particularly like to thank Vice Chair Emma Warren and to Nick Farrant, the Finance Director, who've very much gone above and beyond throughout this period to get the Chamber in the position that it finds itself in right now. And finally to the team, to Alistair, Jen, Annalise, Natalie, Alan. I'm reading it so I don't forget you, Alan, okay? I got a terrible reputation for leaving Alan's name out of lists, which is shocking. So to Alan, to Alistair, Jen, Annalise, Natalie, Alan, Hayley and Sally, for all your hard work, your commitment, your talent and your resilience through these most interesting of times. I hope you enjoy your meal. We'll have some time for some questions afterwards, but thank you very much for your time.
I would just like to take this opportunity to thank Graham on behalf of the Board of Directors and the team at the Somerset Chamber of Commerce for everything that he has done in the last year as his chair. He's done a formidable job, so I'd like to say thank you and would like to give him a hand. Thank you. And I now have a great pleasure in introducing Emma Rawlings, the new Executive Director. Thank you.
So, thank you, Emma, for the introduction. That's very kind of you. And thank you all for attending the event this evening and making your way here on a very cold, frosty night when there's a nice log fire probably burning away at your houses. It's been really wonderful to hear about all of the exciting work that has taken place in the last year. And that's an absolute testament to the team who have gone through all sorts of different things with COVID and without any direction from a chief executive for a while. As you know, my name's Emma Rawlings and I am absolutely delighted to have accepted the position as Executive Director for Somerset Chamber. In my previous organisations, I was actually on the other side of the fence and I came here as a member and greatly benefited from the networking opportunities, the support, and all of the events and everything that was put our way via the Chamber. So I really do know what the benefit is of being a member. And now having the privilege of being on the other side of the fence and leading that and being the voice for Somerset and taking the Chamber forward brings me with great excitement, and I really can't wait to get stuck in next Wednesday on my official start date. The set of accounts I saw is absolutely fantastic, and I'm blown away by seeing those figures go from those big nasty brackets to lovely positives. And Nick, thank you very much for presenting that. Was really nicely put and quite easy to follow. But again, that does really demonstrate that hard work, and I can't emphasise that enough. And just talking to the team tonight, and I know some of them from the previous me as a member, I know that they really are committed and passionate about the work that they do. I myself bring a wealth of management and, more importantly, visionary leadership to the Chamber from a comprehensive background in retail management, in further education, in business. Me and my husband ran our own business for about 15 years. And also just recently I've been heavily involved in the charity sector as a chief executive of Swindon Domestic Abuse Support Services. And it's a National Domestic Abuse Awareness 16 Days of Action starting today, so hence my little badge there. Your continued support is muchly appreciated, and I really am really excited about working with you in the future and getting to know you a lot better, and your businesses and all your organisations, and really listening to you. And I'm a very good listener, and I will take on board everything you say, and we will make a difference. And I want to really help Somerset to be the place to come, the place to settle, the place to work, and the place to start your business and grow and develop your business for the sake of the young and the up-and-coming generations that we all have. I've got children, you've got children, and they are the future. And I really want us as a set of people, professionals, to make that happen for Somerset. I was just talking to Jess. People drive through Somerset because there's the M5 and the A303, but we want them to stop here and realise what we have got, because we have got an amazing set of credentials, and I want to shout about it, and that's what I want to do. So thank you very much.
Right, next things next. We have, finally, really, to wrap things up, We like at annual general meetings to be able to celebrate those members who have been with us on a continuous basis for 10 years or more. We have a list of them there. We actually have 3 in the room. So I will read out the others, but I think we may as well present those that are here with their certificates. So, I don't know about this lot. That'll be PK Francis Clark. So if Nick would like to come up and receive his 10-year. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Oh dear. And it's remember this. Is it Rob? Yeah. Yeah. Rob. Yeah. Rob from Lewis Brown, Chartered Land Surveyors. There you are. Brain dead. Thank you very much. Thanks. And finally to Graham Potts from Wessex Commercial Solutions Limited. Whoop there, Graham. What?
Well, it's got something under him.
Oh, I see, right, it's not right. But congratulations to the others who what you can read them, I don't need to read them out necessarily. But many thanks to all of those who have been great supporters of the Chamber over a whole decade. So it just about brings me to the end. You just go behind there, yeah. There is one further presentation I'd like to make, another 10-year celebration, and that is to Jen Chidley Sanders, who has, without any chance of parole, managed to get through 10 years of dedicated service to Somerset Chamber of Commerce. So, Jen, if you'd like to come up and be presented with your... Thank you, Jen. You look absolutely mortified as well. Dear. Well, thanks again. Thank you, everybody, for attending this year's annual general meeting. Thank you again for your continued support. Although it is still November, I wish you a very... I'm not going to say Happy Christmas. I can't say it. It's not actually going to... Have a good end of year. Enjoy the break. But yeah, very much look forward to seeing you at this time next year, the annual general meeting, and many times in between. Safe home, and thank you again for attending.